Welcome to the Math Curriculum Lesson Overview. This video will introduce the features of the lessons in the math curriculum on the Pennsylvania Adult Education Resources website. It will also provide strategies for teaching the lessons selected for the curriculum from the Illustrative Mathematics K through 12 math lessons. Our objective is to be able to navigate the sections of the math curriculum lesson plans and identify how each section can be used during instruction. The lessons within the math curriculum are focused on content standards and mathematical practices, and they foster learning for all. Because students learn through practice, the content is authentic and meaningful for learners. The student work requires the construction of arguments and use of precise language. The lessons engage students in instruction routines, incorporate math language routines, and help students to make connections between concepts and procedures. A typical lesson within the math curriculum includes a warm-up activity, one or more instructional activities, a lesson synthesis, and a cool-down activity. An activity can serve one or more of many purposes. It can provide experience with a new context, introduce a new concept and associated language, introduce a new representation, formalize a definition of a term for an idea previously encountered informally, identify and resolve common mistakes and misconceptions that students may make, practice using mathematical language, work toward mastery of a concept or procedure, or provide an opportunity to apply mathematics to a modeling or other application problem. Let's take a look at an example lesson from the curriculum. You will notice first that there is a section for standards, which lists the Common Core versions of the standards associated with the lesson. There are also sections for teacher and student goals and a lesson purpose. The text in the gray box indicates background knowledge or content and skills students should know before teaching this lesson, along with suggested adaptations for students with disabilities and English language learners. An instructional routine is then identified, as well as the materials the teacher may need to copy. The lesson also indicates a timeline, a reflection question for instructors, and the cool-down activity or closing. Let's take a closer look at the components of the lesson. Here is the warm-up activity, including the standards addressed by the activity and how to launch the instructional routine. The lesson also shares some sample responses and synthesis activities to explore with your students. Many lessons will include gray boxes like this, which highlight a math language routine that can be used in the lesson. This instructional practice is embedded in the lesson to help instructors address the specialized academic language demands of students who are learning math while simultaneously acquiring new language. For example, in this lesson, you'll see Math Language Routine 8 is being used to support speaking and representing skills. The math curriculum materials empower all students with activities that capitalize on their existing strengths and abilities to ensure that all learners can participate meaningfully in rigorous mathematical content. This allows instructors to maximize access to all students by including suggested supports to meet the needs of individual students. Lessons make rigorous content accessible to all students, including students with learning differences. The curriculum supports a flexible approach to instruction and provides teachers with options for additional support to address the needs of a diverse group of students, positioning all learners as competent, valued contributors. When planning to support access, teachers should use their professional judgment and consider the strengths and needs of their particular students. Gray boxes like this highlight access for students with disabilities. In this lesson, the instructional practices used are engagement practices to support effort and persistence. In this lesson, you'll see that the teacher can chunk learning and provide adequate feedback and encouragement. This addresses organization skills and attention. The lessons in the curriculum are organized around instructional routines. Instructional routines are predictable, providing structure for both the teacher and the students. There are two types of instructional routines used in the materials: warm-up routines and lesson activity routines. Some examples of the warm-up routines include notice and wonder, which one doesn't belong, and number talks. After the warm-up, lessons consist of a sequence of 1 to 3 instructional activities. The activities are the core of the mathematical experience and make up the majority of the time spent in class. Some of the lesson activity routines include the math language routines, like Math Language Routine 2, Collect and Display, or Math Language Routine 5, Co-crafting Questions. More information about the lesson routines can be found by clicking the Other Resources button on the Math Curriculum page of the Pennsylvania Adult Education Resources website. Now that we've explained the format of the lessons, let's discuss how we can use the lessons in our classrooms. Activities within lessons also have narratives. The narratives explain the mathematical purpose of the activity and its place in the learning sequence, what students are doing during the activity, what the teacher needs to look for while students are working on an activity to orchestrate an effective synthesis, and connections to the mathematical practices when appropriate. Each lesson activity has 3 phases: launch, work, and synthesize. The launch introduces the content of the activity. The work phase is where students work independently or in groups to solve a problem. The synthesize phase allows learners the opportunity to synthesize or reflect on what they learned. According to the publisher, during the launch, the teacher makes sure that students understand the context, if there is one, and what the problem is asking them to do. This is not the same as making sure the students know how to do the problem. Part of the work that students should be doing for themselves is figuring out how to solve the problem. The launch invites students into the lesson and helps them connect to contexts that may be unfamiliar. The launch for an activity frequently includes suggestions for grouping students. This gives students the opportunity to work individually, with a partner, or in small groups. During the activity synthesis, the teacher orchestrates some time for students to synthesize what they have learned. This time is used to ensure that all students have an opportunity to understand the mathematical punchline of the activity and situate the new learning within students' previous understanding. After the activities for the day are done, students should take time to synthesize what they have learned. This portion of class should take 5 to 10 minutes before students start working on the cool down. Each lesson includes a lesson synthesis that assists the teacher with ways to help students incorporate new insights gained during the activities into their big picture understanding. Teachers can use this time in any number of ways, including posing questions verbally and calling on volunteers to respond, asking students to respond to prompts in a written journal, asking students to add on to a graphic organizer or concept map, or adding a new component to a persistent display, like a word wall. Each lesson or unit includes practice problems. Teachers may assign practice problems for homework or for extra practice in class. Depending on the class structure, teachers may collect and score the practice problems or provide students with answers ahead of time for self-assessment. The standards for mathematical practice describe the types of thinking and behavior students engage in as they are doing mathematics. Throughout the curriculum, the teacher guide identifies activities where different mathematical practices are likely to be observed. For more information on the standards for mathematical practices, see Math Tool 3 in the Standards section of the PA Adult Education Resources website and the on-demand module College and Career Readiness Standards for Mathematical Practice. The materials contain many opportunities and tools for both formative and summative assessment. Some tasks are purely formative, but the tools that can be used for summative assessment can also be used formatively. Each instructional task is accompanied by commentary about expected student responses and opportunities to advance student thinking, so that teachers can adjust their instruction depending on what students are doing in response to the task. Often there are suggested questions to help teachers better understand students' thinking. The end of a lesson is a cool down, which serves as a quick formative assessment to determine if the students mastered the content of the lesson. For more information and support about using these lessons, you may contact Rachel Barron at rbarron@tau11.org.